Q, do you feel a little more experienced being here this year, football team, and then just being at Media Day?
It's not a lot different for me. I don't because I think every season's a new season, and the questions are new, and everything that's happened from the last 365 days has created a whole new ordeal for you as a coach, and what you're going to be asked about and things. So I don't really feel any different, but I do obviously feel like we're going to be able to talk about it with more knowledge. A football team that I knew very, very, very little about this time last year. So from that aspect, it's more comforting. But I came in here last year not knowing really what to expect, and I guess this year there's some of that also.
How has the team responded to Park Stevens' death?
It was a difficult week. That's never an easy task, whether you're talking about a football player or just a friend. And his attitude that he carried around the complex was one that is very contagious in a good way. And so it was hard on a lot of people, particularly the offensive line that was very close to him. And it's I went to the funeral and said a few words, and that's the second time I've had to do that as a coach. And it's something that you never hope you have to repeat. But our team, we're a family, and we'll rally around each other even in difficult times like that, and hopefully, remember the good things that Park did around our place and the way he made everybody laugh and smile.
Will you do anything for his memory this year?
Yeah, there'll be something in the locker room that we're just now. I mean, it's awful early. I don't know exactly what, but
sure.
There's going to be something in there. Actually, we're going to do it for several fallen rebels that are people whose life may have ended a bit premature. So he'll be a part of that.
What's the MASH unit look like?
That's my biggest concern. Because I really can't tell you. We feel like everybody is pretty well on track. We've had a very physical summer with our strength coaches, and it's created some new things here and there. And exactly where we'll be in a few weeks when we start camp is kind of hard to tell. We know there'll be some that will be limited when we start, but we sure hope, by 2 weeks into it, we've got all the critical members of our team ready to get ready for Vandy.
With all the scrutiny on Johnny Manziel and just everything he's gone through during this whole off season, I mean, what does it continue to amaze you with social media how much just scrutiny these guys are under? And I know you don't have anybody quite like Manziel, but just Bo Wallace, some of those high profile guys. What do you tell them about just being in the public light?
Well, we're constantly on our kids about that, and I think that the social media, obviously it has a lot of good things, and I try to use it also, so I'm not here to be a basher of the social media, but I do think that it creates for some of these young men that are in that spotlight maybe a false sense of the world to which they live in, and gives them maybe, if you're not careful, an ego that maybe is not really healthy. And I can't speak for any other team other than ours, but it's something that is a constant concern for us. And I think sometimes people forget, maybe the media forgets, that our teams are made up of the culture to which we live. And if culture is having an issue with something, then it's going to be on our teams also. And the social media, brings that to light quite frequently. So it's definitely something we're going to have to face. It's not going away.
The expectations as high as they are for you guys this year, how good do you feel knowing how many key faces and key players are coming back?
Well, I feel very good that we have some key people coming back. As far as the expectations, we'll get to define those for ourselves throughout camp. And I know that a lot of other people like to define it, but we're very careful. I've said all spring that unrealistic expectations produce frustration, and so I want to be very careful that we're still, spring revealed to us that we're still not an SEC depth chart. We went from being, a decent football team to less than average when you had a few key injuries. And we were so fortunate last year not to have any. We started the same 5 offensive linemen every game, which that just doesn't happen. And so I look at our depth chart now. We've made improvements, but improvements with really young kids. How will they respond to this league? I don't know. I think we're a year away from being able to look at a depth chart and say, we're pretty good there.
So
Given how-
so when people, you have a top 5 recruit class, so when people go crazy about that, they go crazy about your commitments, and they go crazy about last year, you want to say, whoa,
I do.
whoa.
I really want to slow down. The people in our league have had that for 5 years running, and those are the teams we have to compete against. So one class, because it's rated highly by a lot of people, is not the answer by itself. It is a part of the process, but it's certainly, you're still talking about an 18-year-old kid that's going to come in, and how's he going to respond to class, study hall, weights, meetings, practice, and all over again every single day, which is new to them. You're not sure how they're going to adjust to the learning curves, to the speed of the game. So I don't think that the entire answer is one recruiting class. Certainly it is part of the process, though.
How is Bo's shoulder? How do you have to, or do you have to use him differently at times this year to protect him?
Yeah, I think we've got to be a little more careful in the way that we use him. Hopefully he'll be a little smarter too in some of the decisions he makes that cause some of the contact. But there's no way we can sit here and say he's not going to have it. We feel good that the repair is very solid. He feels good about himself and the way he's throwing it right now. Does have some soreness, but thinks he's right on track.
How do you feel about your quarterbacks behind Bo, if it comes to that for you?
Barry has some strengths, and certainly we'll try to play to his strengths. He wants to be a contributor to what we have going on here, and of course it's his senior year, and we'd love nothing more for him to be an active member in what goes on. So, he'll have the first shot at doing that, and then beyond that, again, we've got a bunch of young kids and not quite sure how they're going to mature, but we'll certainly hope to get through the year with Bo and Barry.
How do you feel about Nick Brazel at this point?
Don't feel good about it. It's still not over, but certainly I'm not real hopeful.
What is your philosophy when you're recruiting a kid with maybe a little bit of a troubled background? How do you discern whether it's worth the trouble or not?
Through the relationship I build with him, and determining throughout the course of time, do I really think I can trust who he is at this moment? And none of us in here have not done things that we wish we could have done differently. We all could sit here and say, there's things we wish we could do differently, and I'm sure kids are that way. I do think you have to be very calculated in the risk you take because you're under such scrutiny and you're bringing them into your team. And we try to minimize the number of at-risk issues that we might have, but you're going to have some. And I have a gut feeling that I look at his support system and who he has, and listen to him talk about what he wants to be known for, and then I have to make a decision whether or not I think we can trust one another with our core values.
Coach, what's it like managing the expectations this year? It almost feels like the opposite. Last year you spend your first year coming in sort of getting these guys to believe that they can win. Now the expectations are what they are from folks like us. Have you gone back and had to sort of bring them back down to earth at all and sort of tell them that they're maybe not as good as the press clippings right now?
I haven't yet, but that time's coming, I'm sure.
Right.
They've again, I love what I see, what they're doing with our strength staff, but when we get in fall camp, we'll be very careful to remind them that last year was last year and absolutely has no effect on what's going to happen this year, and try to make sure their focus is where it needs to be. But of course, you always worry about that as a coach, that they're hearing how good they may be as an individual or how good they should be as a team. We'll point out to them what reality is.
Do you have to move any guys to cornerback?
We moved to Hedrick. I don't know if that happened when that happened, but we moved him. We moved Quintavious Burdette, and we moved Derek Jones to safety last week. So, yeah, we've shuffled that around a little bit.
All right, guys. Thank you.